That's when you guys remember my day 7 video where I tried Imodium.
My shit got stuffed.
I had to use enemas. I had to put enemas up my ass in order to get the shit out because I had taken all these Imodium from this Jewish guy on YouTube who talked about take this many Imodiums and it'll help you from relapse. It'll keep you from feeling like shit when you're detoxing. Bad idea. Very bad idea. Hey, what's up, guys? 3.5 years clean today since heroin. I was laying on my couch. I was 5 days off of heroin, leaving a lady's house that I was in a desperate state. I felt like total dog shit, bored out of my mind. I was sitting there wondering in my mind, how do I escape this nightmare? Because the time never wants to stop. You feel like it's going to take forever. So that night, I actually, if you watch my day 5 video, I ended up trying to get on any type of chat rooms online so I could talk to somebody because it was 3 in the morning and nobody was there for me. I just didn't have that. I wasn't involved in any recovery rooms, so I didn't have telephone numbers to be able to call. But 3 o'clock in the morning, usually you're kind of like, do I really call? You know, you feel kind of desperate. So I was laying on the couch and I remember watching YouTube videos of other people. And they were going through withdrawals or had currently been going through them, or they successfully made it past the withdrawals and they're talking about it. And I was just going through video after video after video of this type of stuff. And I sat there and finally, after watching so many, I was so bored and I just wanted to feel better. I decided I would film my own video. And I said, screw it. And I didn't even plug it up till 30-something days. But I laid on that couch. I did not even want to get up. I was putting cigarette butts out on banana pills. So I remember it like it was yesterday when I was sitting there, but a lot of the content I talked about was solid. There's a lot of good stuff that I did mention in there. I was raised in a household with honor, and my father being a Green Beret, Special Forces, you know, there were standards. He held us to high standards, and he expected great things. He said, you smoke weed, you're a loser if you smoke weed. You're not no loser, so you're never going to smoke weed. And it turned out when I was drunk one night, I smoked weed. And, you know, there were things I told myself, I'll never do that. My father's honor, you know, I'll never do that. And I ended up doing the very things that I never, ever intended or would ever have intentionally done, because I always wanted to make my dad proud, you know. Well, I'm laying there on this day 5 video describing my past experiences from the first time I recall, and I say recall because there's no telling. I might have been prescribed painkillers before that. I remember I have a cut on my elbow, and let me see if I could show it to you guys so you understand where this cut is. But right here, if you see that right there took 22 staples. And I remember it being wide open and my vein was hanging out of my arm. And it looked like a black worm just hanging out of my arm because it's dark. You know, your blood is dark till it hits oxygen, or at least till it gets out in the air. And that was actually something that may have been an experience, but I wasn't thinking addiction at the time. Talking and talking and talking about the first time I ever took it and how it made me feel like, wow, okay, I'm home. I found heaven. This is where I want to be at. Always want to be here. After that Percocet, I had found ways to get Percocets through time, and it progressed. The illness progressed. And I mentioned this in my last video, but I ended up getting on Percocets and Adderall at one point. Now, this is something I don't usually talk much about, but we bumped into this lady. She had obviously conditions as well, like she had problems. And her husband, you know, worked overseas. So he made plenty of money, but she still liked to dumpster dive. I don't understand why, but she would go dumpster diving and get all this stuff and then put it in her living room, make this giant mess, and she would invite us over and have us help her clean up her house and go through the stuff. And she would pay us money and give us Adderall and painkillers, which is my thing. Painkillers were my thing. So I would speedball. I would take Adderall, snort it or swallow it, depending on what it was. And I would take, you know, Percocets or Vicodin, Loracets, whatever I could get my hands on, and I'd speedball. We would stay at her house for 2-3 days with no sleep the whole time. We would stay awake the whole time. And we would just sit there and just trip for a very long time while we sat there and cleaned up this lady's house. I remember doing that for a long time, and I ended up stopping the Adderall because I was so skinny. I'll try and pop a picture of how skinny I was here on the screen so you could see. I was so skinny and I wasn't right, and I was used to being healthy and having some weight to me. And I remember after I got off the Adderall, I was coming off opiates and Adderall. Because I had stayed up for so many days, I was able to sleep and sleep and sleep. And like the worst part of the opiate withdrawal, I was sleeping through and didn't even know how. But it was like I didn't sleep for 4 or 5 days. So boom, I was able to go to sleep. And I woke up and I remember trying to fight it like, okay, I don't need to do this anymore. I had never been to a detox center. I had never tried to attempt to get clean before. But in this go round, I said, I'm going to try and stop. And I ended up getting into the gym again. And of course, I got addicted to that because, and I know it sounds funny, but I got involved in the gym, got really into it, and I started taking testosterone boosters, which you'll see a video of mine on steroids. I started to take care of my body, but also taking hormones so that my brain was changing, the way I was thinking. And when you do steroids, I'm not saying it's like a high from doing opioids, but you do get a high, like a rush of a high feeling, a happy, good feeling. And when you stop, if you don't do it right or properly, you can really crash and burn. And I would crash and burn. And when I did, I just wanted to feel better. So I would drink or I would use. And it was this repetitive cycle of, all right, quit the opioids, get into the gym, get healthy, gain weight, look good, relapse from that and go to alcohol, start drinking for a long period of time, then finally hit a point where I might do good for a little bit off everything, then I'd end up getting back on opioids. And this like repetitive vicious cycle happened often. I never had long terms of being clean off anything. I would just switch substances. And, that happened over the years until I stopped really with the Percocets and started focusing on Oxycontin, and then it became Opanas. The Oxycontins were crushable at the time. I remember snorting one, and when I did, it was this unbelievable rush that I had never had in my life and experienced, and I felt like I was falling asleep though. I never really felt that. Even with the Percocets, I felt minor nods, but I never got to that point. I liked the rush I'd get from Percocets for energy, and my nose would itch, and I'd just sit there all day, just. So I would sit there and take these Oxycontin and get super high, and once again, I had ran out of being able to get those, and the Percocets did not do the job. So I would take Opanas. I told you guys the story of how my Opana thing began. I was looking for Percocets, looking for Oxys, and bumped into this lady who had oxymorphone, Opana, for $5 a piece, and I was like, this is stupid. These aren't Percocets. So I swallowed it. It didn't do shit really for me, and I was so mad. Come to find out, they're like the strongest pill you can get, right? Well, I ended up getting on those because I was obviously breathing those in through a straw, and I found a way eventually to get off of those. I detoxed at home, and I was off for 3.5 days. I think by the time I felt a little bit better, it was like day 4, maybe day 5, and nothing's perfectly better. So if you go back and watch my day 5, day 7 video, and you're like, he's all the way better, you might catch me at a good time, but it came in waves, and it came hard, and then it'd go away. It came in hard, and then it went away. So I caught myself 14 days drinking nothing but energy drinks all day, trying to stay off of the shit. And I was crashing, and then I'd do good, and I'd crash, and I'd do good. Well, I relapsed. After about 14 days, I relapsed, and I ended up back on them. And I was on them really bad and ended up having to be bribed by my wife and my mom and all them. They always had to bribe me to get me to go to detox, because the way it worked was when you're high, you want to get clean. It's so paradoxical. It's like, oh, I'm high. Now that I'm happy and I'm high, I'm like, I know, I need to get clean. I really need to change something. And then I'm withdrawing and I'm going, I need to get high. I so want to get high. And then you get high and you're like, I know, I need to quit. And I did that for like days, weeks, months. So I found myself in a detox center waking up to a woman who's checking my pulse, and she's checking my blood pressure and all that. And I freaked out. How the hell did I get here? And she goes, you checked yourself in. Oh my gosh, I was so messed up. I had bought 5 30-milligram Opanas, and I was snorting them off every gas station bathroom on my way from here to the detox center, and off the lid of the toilet, and then I'd puke my head off, and then I'd go to the next one, and I just wanted to feel completely not there in order to even go into the detox center, which was dangerous. But I went in, and that's when I found out on a pamphlet that I was supposedly a drug addict. Supposedly a drug addict. I didn't like the idea of becoming a drug addict. I didn't like the idea of me even thinking I was a drug addict. No, I just let this shit get a hold of me. But I always had control of my life. I always had control of what I wanted. And the only reason I did the drug is because I wanted to do the drug. It wasn't I was an addict. You guys are wrong about me. There's no way. You can't diagnose me and tell me that I'm a drug addict. I just let the shit go too far. Sorry, you're wrong. Little did I know. I wish I was humble enough at that point to recognize and see it. But you can't change what's happened, and I'm glad everything did so that I could share this story with you so you can understand my experience, strength, and hope. So I end up at this place for 2 days. The doctor's like, okay, so you went from swallowing and now you're snorting? Writing down notes. And I'm like, what's he writing down? What the hell's he writing down? Well, he's asking me more questions. Oh, so you went from taking 5 milligram Percocets to Oxycontin to oxymorphone, and now you're breathing them through a straw. Yeah, sounds to me you've got a real problem here. You have a real issue, Derek. Unless it's treated, you're always going to have a problem with this addiction. And I freaked the hell out. I'm like, no, there's no way. There's no freaking way. I need to leave this place. I know what I need to do. I knew I needed to go to meetings because we had a few meetings in there, and I felt something special pull at me when I was going to them. But I left there, called Kurt. Kurt came and picked me up. Hey, bro, I got to stop by the dope dealer's house real quick on my way home. Hope you don't mind. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. Do not let me see anything. Let's just go. And I stayed sober, I think, or clean, whatever term you like to use. I don't, just trying to make the point, I was clean off drugs for 28 days. And I relapsed doing the Opana. And I was gone for another 3 weeks to a month or something. And then I went back into the rooms and I got clean for 2 years. Now, at the end of this 2 years, I was in church. I was active in religion. I was addicted to that. Mind you, everything that I had ever done, I was addicted to. And I feel like there's always something that we're going to be addicted to, or always going to be drawn towards something. Everybody works off habits. Humans work off patterns, and we all have our little addictions, if you will. But I got super, super holy, and I ended up going to church every time there was church, every day. I mean, it was extremely, extremely overboard even. Going around bashing people who didn't believe like me, you name it. So I found myself at church taking communion. It was a Presbyterian church. This communion was real wine. The pastor told me, no. With God, all things are possible. You're not an addict. You're not an alcoholic. You can take the Lord's Supper. That's a holy thing. We do that because that's his body and his blood. And I remember taking that wine and feeling a tiny little warm rush that ran into my tummy. And this is not exaggerating. I legitimately felt a tiny warm little rush in my gut. And as I sat there and I felt it, I said, man, I love that feeling, and I'm in a good place. I'm in the holy of holies, so to speak. I'm in the most protected place, God's place, and I can drink this, and I'm safe. And I remember saying, Jesus drank wine. Look, I'm going to go grab a bottle. I'm going to head home, and I'm going to have wine at home. So I started drinking wine at home while doing Bible studies at the house. And I found myself not being able to stop wanting to drink wine every night. And it became wine turned into liquor. I mean, look, I skipped the beer phase. I wasn't a big beer guy. I was wine to liquor. And I'm sitting here drinking vodka, getting drunk, and me and the wife were arguing and fighting. So we had a situation occur while I was drinking. I was very aggressive and not giving her attention. So she was ready to leave me. And we had this knockdown, drag-out fight in the front yard of my house where I'm yelling at her, she's yelling at me, and I'm a bigger guy at this time. So I had grabbed her elbows to try and grab her purse and tell her, listen to me. She freaked out. I grabbed her purse from her and I went to my mom's and all this chaos started happening. I'm drunk. She's done it. She's had enough of me, all this. So she comes to my house. She picks up her purse. She goes and presses charges on me. Well, I'm not the only one who put my hands on her in that aspect, but I had never hit her. But we were mad at each other. And I'm not going to say that I haven't put my hands on her, but I've never, beat her. I was never an abusive husband. And look, even those people who may have done such things, I had been abusive when I had drank alcohol later down the road, and that's going where we're heading with this, okay? You're going to hear about that, but I was never up to this point like an abusive husband who ever purposely beat his wife or got mad and just wanted to beat on her. But we had some knockdown, drag-out fights, and it got so bad, we didn't know how to communicate properly. We would get angry and do things we would never do. And so she came, got her purse, went and pressed charges on me. In the state of North Carolina, you can't drop these charges. These charges, once she presses charges on a man, that's it, okay? You can't drop them. She can't drop them. I found out that years before this happened, some man and his wife would have domestic violence situations, and she kept dropping the charges on him. Long story short, he cut her throat, because they kept dropping charges, putting charges back on, dropping charges. So now when a woman does charge you, the state takes the case and runs with it. The only way out of that is if you also press charges back. So my itty-bitty 110-pound wife, right, she was hitting me that night too. And I told my lawyer what had all happened, and he said, you need to go and you need to press charges back. This is the only way out. So we finally did that, and 30, 40 days later, we're at court. She wishes she had never done it. We're trying to make things work, but we're not. And this is around the time that me and my wife had both finally had tried to make things work, but we were both doing substances that were preventing us from being able to connect like we wanted to. And she was off in La La Land. I was off in La La Land. I'm out here seeing these other women. I'm not right in my mind. She has someone she was seeing. We're both just lost, okay? And we didn't want to have charges on each other because we do love each other, but we were both lost at this time. And so I end up seeing this girl, and I'm skipping ahead a little. This Mexican girl, she was taking Xanax and she was drinking a lot, and she was giving me tequila all the time. She'd have my breakfast ready for me with these Xanax. And I'd wake up, and I would take Xanax, and I was snorting them. And I would drink the alcohol, and finally a day came where my wife reached out, and she was trying to get a hold of me, but this girl kept keeping my wife from being able to get in contact with me. My wife said, listen, Derek needs to see his kids, and she'd finally get a hold of me, and she said, you need to see your kids, but you can't do it while you're drinking. So you need to sober up if you're going to see your boys. And I felt so guilty because I really did want to see my babies, but I was lost. So I said, okay, I'm going to try. Even the day I went to go see him, I had a couple beers because I was shaken. I was drinking vodka for, I'd say about a good 6 months, half gallon of vodka. I started getting the shakes and I wasn't right. I needed the alcohol. And I remember telling that girl, this is where my head was at. Just to give you guys an inside scoop on the real deal. I remember telling the girl, no, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm just going to go see my kids and I'll be right back. I remember there's a lot of details that I'm leaving out because there's not enough time to go into all details. I remember seeing my wife's face, and I remember that deep down I do love her. And I was driving with her, and she was playing hard to get a little bit, and I looked at her and I said, are you done with me? Are you done with me? And she's like, do you want to be with me? She's like, no. I was like, are you really done with me though? And she's like, why? And I said, because I'm not done with you. And I want to be with you. And she's like, what are we going to do? We both wanted it. We both could feel like we wanted to make things right. So I end up saying, let's run away. I took out a $15,000 loan. I remember when I went to lay with her that night and we were going to sleep, I cramped up. I'm talking my entire body, my upper and lower body cramped up like I'd never cramped in my life. I told her, please go get water because I didn't drink that night and I didn't have Xanax. I remember crying to her while my body locked up. Please, please go get the water. Go get the water. Go get the water. I'm panicking because my whole body locked up. I drink this water and I tell her, go get me another cup, please. I drank 2 full cups of water as quick as I could and lay down. And as I was laying there, I went to sleep. I woke up in the morning, and I'm not exaggerating, the entire bed was soaked. All these details I'm telling you right now, by the way, are not mentioned in my day 5 video. These are things that I've lived with and we've began to overcome together as time went on, and I'm willing to definitely go into today. I end up leaving North Carolina with a pending charge on me, a felony pending charge while I was out there actively drinking and not right in my mind. And I actually left, went to Washington State to start over because, hey, I'm going to get away from this alcohol thing that I kept doing. And as I left, alcohol kept following me. For some reason, I kept finding myself drunk at every hotel we stayed at. Every hotel. I'm getting drunk all the way there. Then I'm drinking there every night. I didn't get a job right away. I wasn't right. I was depressed. And my wife was realizing something seriously needed to change. I blacked out one night. And I guess why I blacked out, I went into a rage, a blackout rage. And I hurt my wife. Never intentionally. But I guess I had harmed her. And I woke up trying to grab her like, hey, baby, like headache from hell. Hey, baby. And she turned to me and she says, don't touch me. You hurt me. And I remember never, ever wanting to feel that way again. I swear to God, I had not had a drink of alcohol, liquor since then. I had a beer while I was on heroin for 4th of July one time, and that was the last time. And that was 5 years ago. But I remember it was like 6.5, 7 years ago. I have not had liquor since. And I remember waking up feeling the absolute worst, like total dog shit. And my sister Mana called me and she said, hey bro, are you ready now? It's time. You ready? So gentle, so loving. Oh, thank God for her. And she said, I know what happened. And she was telling me about how I hurt Ryan and I don't remember doing any of it. And she said, let's get it. Let's go. So I haven't been in years. Let's go to a meeting. So I went to AA with my sister. And I remember never have I felt better in my life than going to like a AA-NA meeting. I don't know why. It's something about that place that just really is awesome for me. So I'm going to plug our Discord right now. Check out our Discord because we have NA and AA meetings on there. It's all free at your fingertips across the world. We have people literally across the world. And right now we have 2 schedules, 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. depending on where you're at in the world. So I'm here on the East Coast in North Carolina. Back to the story. I go to the meetings, I start getting sober, and I find out that I have to go back for court because of some stuff that I had done when I was drinking. I come back to North Carolina, my probation officer saying, you can't leave the state. And I'm trying to fight it and push it like, hey, I got to go back. My family's in Washington. We moved. My wife couldn't wait. So my wife came back, and we've been here ever since. I ended up having to have a tooth removed, and I got prescribed Percocet, 12 Percocet 5s. That's all. 12 Percocet 5s. They took a tooth out, and I ended up taking them. And that is the start of the last run around that I had of using opiates. And I mean, look, I'm skipping my Suboxones and my methadone clinic stories where I went in and I tried to do that. You can see my other videos on that. But I ended up going another year of opioids. And I was back on the Opanas within a month after those Percocets. I was back on Opanas. And I didn't have enough money, so I ended up snorting heroin for the first time. And I'll never forget, I was so desperate. You know, you just want to feel better. And you know Percocets aren't going to do it. You don't have a lot of money. So I ended up snorting just a small amount out of fear. I was so scared about doing it because there's a stigma on heroin. Rightfully so, but there's a stigma on heroin. So I did a small bump. I felt better. I realized, wow, this is a lot cheaper. And I started snorting till the habit developed. And I ended up having to, in order to feel really good, because I didn't have enough money one day, I had someone that I trusted help me inject, my brother Kurt. And he had just started right before I did. So for the first, I'd say, week or two, I wouldn't even dare do it myself. And then eventually it became, okay, I don't have anybody here. I'm so sick. So now I'm over here playing with syringes myself, doing mainlining it myself. And that is something I would have never done. I'm the guy who almost passed out getting his blood drawn. It was always horrible like that for me. I was shooting up. And when I'd see the blood, it would make me go, okay, yep. It would give me this ritualistic satisfaction. You know, people fall in love with rituals, if you will, habits. And there's certain things like people enjoy that it's hard to describe, but imagine like a basketball player and the way he spins the ball at the free throw line, and he does it every time. It's a ritual. It's something that he does that makes him satisfied before he shoots the shot. Same thing when you're doing the drug. It's really weird and hard to describe for someone on the outside, but once I started getting hooked on that, I couldn't stop. I tried to stop, and I actually stopped for a few days, and I was trying, and I was using Percocets to try and come down with methadone, with Benadryl, with Seroquel, with NyQuil. I mean, like all these damn medications I'm trying to take other than heroin to get off. I tried, that's when you guys remember my day 7 video where I tried Imodium. My shit got stuffed. I had to use enemas. I had to put enemas up my ass in order to get the shit out because I had taken all these Imodium from this Jewish guy on YouTube who talked about take this many Imodiums and it'll help you from relapse. It'll keep you from feeling like shit when you're detoxing. Bad idea. Very bad idea. I took 20 to 25 Imodium pills and I could not crap and my stomach wasn't right. So I had to take 2 enemas in order to even start to feel better. And even that day I went and said, honey, I have to do something. I'm in so much pain. I went with a 20 bag. I told her I'll only do a quarter of it. I did the whole bag when I went over there. Didn't waste. That was nothing, you know? And I'm sure many of you watching would relate. I did the whole bag, and I ended up in a situation, once again, back out there contacting this guy every day. The dope dealer lived with me for a short period of time. So I ended up bribing the last go-around to get over to this, to get high, $140. I told them that the dope dealer was going to kill my family. And I ended up at this lady's house, Elise. She saved my life, helped me save my life. My wife drove me. My mom was there to pay the $140. She wouldn't give it to me. She gave it to Kurt. Kurt took me to go get the dope from the dope dealer. And me and Kurt were both doing the dope before I went to her house. When I got to her house, my phone stopped working. I had no transportation, no communication. I didn't have a way to contact a dope dealer. My wife came and saw me for emotional support. And funny thing, you know, you guys saw me on my day 7 and you're going, dude, he doesn't even look like he was withdrawing. At that moment, I felt great. I had a cup of coffee and I was smoking my cigarettes. And I was in a good zone at that moment. Give me an hour. An hour after that, I felt like dog shit. An hour after that, I might have felt a little better. So it was coming in waves. It wasn't always dog shit. It came in waves. I ended up at this lady's house on day 3 or 4. I think it was day 3. I told the wife, I feel way better. Come see me. Right? Come see me tonight. Are you sure? She came to see me on the day 3 night. And let me tell you something. I thought the first night was the worst, and it was. But the second night was another first night in a sense. And when she was there, I was so not right. Look, if I were to try and remember exactly the details of how long and all this stuff, I'd be wrong. But I remember not being able to sleep for at least 7 days in bed with my wife because the body heat and feeling ucky. I felt nasty. I felt like I don't know. It's hard to describe. I felt like I didn't want to be in my own body. And I was laying next to her and I remember I got to sleep somewhere where it's cooler, somewhere where I can just spread out, spread my wings out and just relax. And that's what I did. I ended up going in that room for another 7 days, got to where I started sleeping better, and I was going to meetings like I had the story I tell about the guru and having to breathe. If you haven't watched my channel, I talk about this. A man wanted to be successful. I'm going to end it on this because today I'm 3.5 years clean. I still believe in the 12-step process. I still believe in any process that keeps you clean and sober. I am not against people taking other substances, but for me, cold turkey was the answer for me. It saved my ass from going from one substance to another. And I want to end on this. I want you guys to understand, I wanted to be successful. So Derek Lambert decided he wanted to be successful, and he calls a guru. And this guru says, meet me at the beach at 3 a.m. 3 a.m.? 3 a.m. is dark. Why am I meeting you at the beach? You can't even see outside. He says, you want to be successful or not? Yeah, I want to be successful. So Derek meets him at the beach, and he says, all right, now let's go out in the water up to our waist. What? Why am I going to go out there up to my waist in water? He goes, do you want to be successful or not? Yes, I want to be successful. So we went in an uncomfortable place in the water in the ocean and he's like, are you crazy, man? Why would I do that? Do you want to be successful, Derek? Yeah. So they go out. He says, now let's go up to our neck. What? It's dark out, it's cold. You want me to go out in the ocean up to my neck? What's this got anything to do? Do you want to be successful, Derek? All right, dude. So I go up to their neck. And he says, all right, now hold your breath and go underwater. And he goes underwater. And as he's holding his breath, when the air, oxygen starts to go out and turning into carbon dioxide in his lungs and he needs oxygen, he starts to come up. The guru's holding him underwater, drowning him. He can't breathe. He can't breathe. And he's freaking out. He's about to pass out. As soon as he's about to pass out, the guru lifts him up and he goes, all right, now, boy, as bad as you just wanted to breathe, that's how bad you have to want to be successful. And that's how bad I had to want it this last go-around for me to get clean and to stay clean. I wanted it that bad, but I didn't want it that bad at first. I had to get the chemicals out at first. And I had to go and put myself in a place around people with things that would keep me on the right track. And that was going to like a 12-step recovery process, whether you're 12-step or not. I started going to that shit, bro. And let me tell you something. If you watch the day 5 and compare that day 5, day 7, and look at what I'm saying now, I am 3 years and 1,193 days clean or something. All right? I'm still going. Do you want to be successful? That's all I'm asking. Like, there are other routes, but staying at home and thinking you're going to do this on your own or doing like Kurt has done is not wise. I'm totally suggesting. I'm going to put it like this. If you are me, I can only say what I can do. I'm not here to tell you what you need to do, because that's the magic of this whole thing. So many people have been inspired and changed because of what I said I have done about me. And if you relate to anything I'm saying, if you've lied, you've cheated, you've stolen, you've done everything under the sun, and you recognize, okay, look, I can't just stop. It just isn't that easy. You know, I've tried. I keep finding myself back. Then you might want to take suggestions. And I always equate these suggestions to, I suggest when you jump out of an airplane, you pull your parachute. Because if you're anything like me, you're going to hit the ground. All right? Do you want to pull that parachute and survive, or do you want to not and see what happens? And for me, I had to pull the parachute, y'all. And I did. And I call that new actions, new behaviors. I rewired my brain. The website is called rewiredaddiction.com because it's all about rewiring your addiction from using substances to new habits, new things that allow you to retrain your behaviors and never have to go back to using. I've done a lot of videos on a lot of topics. I've talked about why, if I were to relapse, there's a lot that would happen in order for me to even go to the point of relapse. I would have to remove tons and tons of behaviors and barriers that I've set up to protect myself from using. I would have to do so much in order to ever go back to that. And I can't, that'd be hard. That literally, for me at this point in my recovery, would be very hard for me to be able to get rid of all the things I built up in my habits and the way that I've retrained my thinking and the way that my behaviors are. It's just very difficult to see myself ever being able to go back to that. So if I did relapse, I would have to be giving up so many things that I've currently trained myself to do. And I just want y'all to be able to communicate. If you go on the Discord and you reach out on there, you'll be able to find out that there's a lot of people who are recovering. It's free. You have meetings at your fingertips. All this stuff is free. Come check us out. It'll be in the description. Check out the website. And if you just want to reach out, I've got a Facebook Messenger you can hit me up on. Instagram you can hit me up on. Hit me up in the comments on this video. You're not alone. I swear to God, you're not alone. So do not feel like you can't reach out. If you're this person or you know somebody that's like this, share this thing. Like this thing. Get it out there because it's saving people's lives. I am not exaggerating, and I'm all about sharing my experience, strength, and hope to help others because it helps me. It's a weird paradox. If I want to keep what I have to give it away. And here I am giving it away. Derek Lambert, y'all. rewiredaddiction.com. Check us out on the Discord. Love you.